You ever see something so shocking, so brazen, that your brain just can't process it at first like you're watching a bad movie, but you're right in the front row? That's exactly what happened to me, sitting there in first class, when Jasmine Washington's cheek lit up red from the force of a slap delivered by the actual captain of our plane in front of everyone. He looked her dead in the eyes and snarled, "Know your place." I swear, for a second, the whole world just stopped breathing. Now, here's the thing. That captain? Maxwell Reynolds. Big shot pilot, old money Connecticut, family tree full of aviation legends. Probably never been told no a day in his life. And Jasmine? Well, she's the last person on earth you should ever try to humiliate. What nobody in that cabin knew, at least not yet, was that Jasmine Washington wasn't just another passenger. No, sir. She was Atlanta's first black female chief of police. And if that wasn't enough, she also happened to be a billionaire tech CEO, the kind of woman who builds companies from scratch and reforms entire systems. Yeah, that happened. Let me back up a sec, because stories like this don't come out of nowhere. Jasmine grew up in the roughest part of Atlanta Vine City. Her dad drove a city bus, her mom scrubbed hospital floors, and they both worked like dogs just to keep a roof over their heads. Money was always tight, but Jasmine's mind, even as a kid, just worked differently. By age 12, she was piecing together computers from junk parts she fished out of dumpsters. By 14, she'd written an app to help her dad find better bus routes, which is just wild when you think about where she came from. School didn't come easy, underfunded, overlooked, always that "are you lost" vibe from teachers who couldn't see past their own bias. Jasmine had to fight for every inch, from getting into Georgia Tech on a scholarship, to having professors act surprised every time she aced an exam, to study groups magically not having space for her. You know what I mean? None had stopped her. She graduated top of her class double major in computer science and criminal justice like some kind of prodigy with a purpose. And she put those skills to use fast. By 25, Jasmine had scraped together 10 grand and started Securit, a cybersecurity company so innovative that police departments all over the country started lining up for contracts. Her motto was simple: technology should serve justice, not hide from it. By the time she hit 35, she'd taken Securit public and been the youngest black female billionaire in American history. But she didn't forget where she came from. She set up the Washington Foundation, built a community center right back in Vine City, started programs so other kids could chase their dreams the way she had. Now, most folks would have stopped there. Not Jasmine. When Atlanta's police department blew up in a scandal, the mayor practically begged her to take over as chief even if it meant juggling her role as CEO. Jasmine only agreed if she could keep it under wraps, no headlines, just hard work. And you know what? She got real results. Complaints about the police dropped, response times improved in neighborhoods that usually got left behind, and she kept it all quiet. So, picture this. Jasmine, on her way to London to close a deal that'd bring Securit's technology to the entire UK police for, say, a contract worth billions. She dresses low-key, just jeans and a blouse, nothing flashy. Hopes for a quiet flight. Captain Maxwell Reynolds, meanwhile, is having a bad day. And let's be honest, he's been having a bad decade. His marriage just blew up. His kids won't talk to him. He hates the way the world's changing. That morning, he's grumbling about diversity hires, making side comments about his crew, basically seething with resentment. When he finds out the flight's being delayed for a VIP, he loses it. Assumes it's some rapper or ballplayer classic. Instead, it's Jasmine, last aboard, barely making it after a late meeting with the mayor and airport security delays. She doesn't look the part of a billionaire CEO, not by a long shot, just comfortable under the radar. But when Aisha, the new black flight attendant, greets her with a smile and shows her to first class, Reynolds decides to handle things himself. You can see where this is going, right? He walks right up, grabs Jasmine's boarding pass without asking, interrogates her about her ticket like she's a shoplifter instead of a platinum member. The other passengers get uncomfortable, but he keeps pushing, wants to see her ID, questions if she bought the ticket herself, drops all kinds of coded language about the right kind of passenger. Jasmine, cool as ice, just says, "I purchased my own ticket. I'd appreciate it if you let me settle in. And that's when the real ugly comes out. Reynolds just can't handle it. In his mind, Jasmine doesn't belong up there. His face twists, and before anyone can react, slaps her hard right there in the aisle. Know your place. The whole cabin gasps. Phones come out, people start filming. A businessman stands up and yells at Reynolds. Aisha puts herself between Jasmine and the captain, and within seconds the co-pilot and security are there. Jasmine, with a bright red mark blooming on her cheek, just looks him in the eye and says, "I think you've just made the biggest mistake of your career." And boy, she was right. Chaos breaks out, but Jasmine stays calm. She calls her lawyer, keeps her voice steady, explains exactly what happened. The gate agent and airline VP rush on board. Airport security removes Reynolds, still sputtering about my plane and disruptive passengers, like he's not the one who crossed the line. Meanwhile, whispers spread. Wait, is that the Jasmine Washington, Securit's founder, Atlanta's chief of police? By the time the plane finally takes off with a new captain, half the passengers are texting, posting, calling friends. The videos go viral before they even reach London. You want a twist? Here's where it gets good. By the time they land, the world knows exactly what happened. Hashtags are trending. News outlets are blowing up with coverage. The airline stock tanks. Turns out, Reynolds has a history, 6 prior complaints about discrimination, all swept under the rug because of his family name. Not this time. Atlantic Airways execs are panicking. The CEO tries to offer Jasmine a private jet, a settlement, anything to make it go away. But Jasmine isn't after money or a headline. She slides a proposal across the table, a 5-year, multi-million-dollar plan to overhaul the airline's entire approach to discrimination, using Securit software to track complaints, overhaul hiring, put actual consequences in place. Whitfield, the CEO, is floored. It's going to cost millions, but that's nothing compared to the hit the airline just took in market value and the potential lawsuits now lining up. Jasmine makes it clear, implement the reforms, and she'll support the company publicly, help them rebuild their reputation. It's not about punishing one man. It's about fixing the system. Whitfield has no choice, he signs on. Back in Atlanta, Reynolds is getting hit from all sides. The police serve him with charges: assault, battery, hate crime enhancement. His union abandons him. His father calls to say he's disgraced the family. Even his ex-wife wants full custody of their kid. News vans are parked outside his house. Old colleagues won't return his calls. His name is poison. And yet, here's where you get something you almost never see in stories like this: actual change. Jasmine's reforms get put in place. Within months, Atlantic Airways is leading the industry in diversity. Complaints are down, stock recovers. Aisha Johnson, the flight attendant who stood up to Reynolds, gets promoted to Director of Equity and Inclusion. Former problem captains are weeded out. Other airlines start following suit. Reynolds, meanwhile, takes a plea probation, community service, mandatory bias training. He loses his license, ends up working warehouse jobs just to scrape by. But over time, those bias training sessions and volunteer hours at Jasmine's old neighborhood center start to sink in. For the first time in his life, he actually listens to people with different stories, starts to see where he went wrong not just once, but 100 times over the years. It doesn't fix everything. Some things you can't undo, but you can change if you're willing to look at yourself honestly. Fast forward a year. Jasmine gives a keynote at the International Aviation Conference, standing ovation, press swarming, new industry standards rolling out. Reports of discrimination are down. More women and people of color in leadership. Airlines finally competing over who treats their passengers and staff best, not just who's got the cheapest fare. Even Reynolds, now a flight simulator instructor for low-income kids, shows up at the back of the room. No one recognizes him, but he's there to learn, not to defend himself. Afterwards, Jasmine and Reynolds cross paths for the first time since that day on the plane. He hands her a letter and apology. She doesn't offer forgiveness. She says that's not hers alone to give, because the harm ripples out far beyond just one person. But she tells him to keep going, keep working, keep growing, because real transformation isn't about erasing what happened, but making sure it leads to something better. Look, there's no Hollywood ending here. Just messy, complicated, real-life one person's anger ignites a movement. Another's pain sparks change that helps thousands. Jasmine never wanted to be a hero. She just wanted respect, dignity, and a world where no little girl has to wonder if she belongs in the sky. And thanks to her, now more do. So I'll end with this: what about you? Ever witnessed something like this? Did you speak up or stay silent? What would you do if justice and comfort went head-to-head right in front of you? Drop your story below. Let's talk about what real change looks like. If you believe in turning pain into progress, hit that like button, subscribe, and send this to someone who needs a little hope. Because sometimes it just takes one moment, one person standing their ground to change everything for the better.